Hello guys, today I'm going to be showing you a few things. Primarily I'm going to be showing you how to chart and find patterns and potential buying points and selling points for AMD, and I'm going to walk you through everything. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, and I'll start right now. So this is the 1 year chart for AMD. This is always a good place to kind of start when first looking at a stock, because just looking, so let's say we go to just a 5 day time period. The 5 day time period, as you can tell, isn't very helpful. It looks like this stock is just going downhill, right? But that's why we go back in time to about a year, 180 days, and then find the patterns that way. So that way, when you go in like intricately through the day, you can actually see the patterns forming and it going to the potential price points. So first, what I like to do is kind of uh, get a feel for where the price points that most turnarounds or bounce backs happen. And so we can just start off by first plotting some major low points and high points. And so I'm going to be ignoring everything from January back, just because it's not in the trading range. It hasn't really been in the trading range up until here. And the trading range for me, I think, is going to be 10 up. So I think this is a good kind of channel. So this in here, from like about 15 to $10 is where most of the trading happens. Okay, so first I'm just going to plot the high points in just roughly. Okay, it doesn't have to be exactly. You just want to get a feel as to just where a ceiling is. We could also just do another line just so people understand that it's roughly, so it can be in that area. All right, so another thing I want to do is plot the floor. So we plotted the ceiling, one of the ceilings. Now we want to plot the floor. This one can be a little bit. So it's literally about $10, which is very interesting, and people will find out when they start stock trading is that people like to buy and sell on even and just uh, big numbers, so like they not most people are going to put their order in on just a really weird number. So like let's say 979 or something. They're either they're gonna round off. They're gonna be like 980, 10, 975. That's something that's very key when stock trading, because 90% of the traders are human, and so they have human emotions, they have human thoughts, and if you understand what a human is thinking or what they would be thinking in a situation like that, that'll give you a better edge as to how you can kind of find out what's probably going to happen and how everyone's going to react. So we plotted the ceiling and the floor roughly. This is what I call the outer boundaries. So it'll only go to this floor on the bottom right here, rarely. So it did it once right over here about like 6 months ago. And as you could tell, once it hit $10, it could not stay below. So it bounced back. So that's a very solid floor. $10, very solid floor. Another very solid floor, 1050 right here, as you could tell. It touched 1050, did not want to hold. It seems like it likes to bounce back. Right here as well, as you could tell very recently, it got very close to 1050. It did not want to hold. And another spot right now is where it's currently at is $11. $11, honestly, if you look at it like this. So here's what I'm going to show you guys. If 100% of everyone trading has been trading in this range, $10 to $15, where would the best place for someone to buy in be? That's right, the the lowest point, about $10. And when it's right now, it's at $11, which is actually still very good, because I'm going to show you guys something. If it's at $11, right, and the lowest point is is $10. It's about a 10% difference. So there's a 10% difference going from 11 to 10, all right? But watch this. From 11 all the way to I'm not going to go all the way up because it's unrealistic, but let's go to 1450. That is 25%. So there's a 10% risk if you buy at 11 for it to go down to 10, but as I said earlier, 10 and 1050 and even 11 is a really strong floor, and it doesn't like to hold. AMD just doesn't like to let the price drop and hold below 11. It always kind of bounces back. But versus upwards, there's 25% profit potential, roughly, versus 10% risk potential. So that's another way I kind of base my trades is, am I in a spot where only a small percentage of people have made their orders, and is the rest of the activity higher up? That's kind of key for me, because right here for AMD, as you can tell, if this is 11, most of the trading has happened way above 11. All right, so most people that have AMD are probably going to have something more expensive than $11. Okay, okay. All right, so let's do some more charting. So this is the 1-year chart. I want to go a little bit more in depth. So let's go 180 days. Okay, what I like to do is plot the channels as well. So where about 3 touches happen, like right here, as you can tell, there's kind of like a channel that was forming. 3 touches happen. I'll plot a line there. So it tells that's kind of the trend, and we can do this for the top as well. All right, and that right there, since that was a bit ago, but as you can tell, it's just, you can notice kind of the patterns forming, right? And right here we can plot another one. Actually, I want to plot that right there. Okay, and hang on, I'm going to put that right there. Okay, all right, and we can plot that one right there. So it broke off right here. I'm pretty sure this was earnings, the earnings, or it might have been a little bit early. Yeah, it was earnings. AMD actually did good on earnings, but it didn't meet the traders' expectations. So it, at that point, it was really expensive anyways, like 1450, you know, and as you can tell, it doesn't like to stay above 1450 for too long. So the investors, the people buying AMD, just didn't feel that the earnings report actually gave it enough oomph to where it would go higher than 1450, you know. It just didn't seem worth it. So it dropped, which is great, because you do not want to be buying it when it's close to the ceiling, right? If you're buying it at 1450, you know, you're kind of in a bad trade here, because honestly, like max, if it gets up to 1520, right, and you bought it at 1450, you're going to be making less than 5%. That's your reward versus the downside, which is let's see what the downside is. Minus 36%, right? 5% versus minus 36%, you know, the risk to reward isn't very good. So you got to find a spot where the risk to reward is very good. All right, I'm going to do something else right now. I'm going to be plotting all these round numbers. I'm just going to be going $12. I'm going to draw a line at $12, just so I can show you guys these round off patterns as to how prices kind of act when they come around these round numbers. And as you can tell right here, we can find some spots right here. It broke right here. It broke 12 a long time ago. Broke 12, and it went down. Let's plot 11. I'm going to plot 11, 12. Okay. So here's 11, here's 12. And immediately you can see some patterns, some touches on 12 and 11. So right here for 12, we have one major touch right here, boom, that goes with this channel as well. And we have multiple very light, and this one kind of got deep. It got down to 1165. But as long as it doesn't hold, then the floor is still good. So it didn't hold for too long. Probably held for like a day or two under, but that's not long enough time for you to really say, oh, it's broken 12 now. 12 is the ceiling. So no, it bounced back and it touched 12 multiple times, and it gets roughly to around 12 multiple times. And we can do the same thing for 13. And we can see if there's anything significant at 13. We can tell if 13 is a solid number. Right now, I'm honestly going to say 13 probably isn't the strongest number for AMD, because as you could tell, most of this activity kind of just ignores 13, or just barely kind of takes it into consideration. As you can tell, it just cuts through 13, like it's nothing. So 13, not a very solid floor or ceiling. So I'm actually just going to remove the line. Okay. All right, let's look at 14 now. 14, very, it seems like 1450 is actually probably going to be a better ceiling right here. So we'll draw a line at 1450, and immediately you see touching points that kind of help the fact that 1450 is a pretty good ceiling. It only broke and stayed above 15 for a few days right here, and it didn't hold. It broke below 1450, but it touched 1450 here, touched 1450 here. Pretty much roughly touched 1450 here, and it pretty much roughly touched 1450 here. So 1450 is actually a pretty solid ceiling. So if you're looking to sell, I wouldn't recommend 1450. I'd probably be somewhere along the lines of 1350 to about, like $13 if you're buying it right now, because $11 right now is actually a very solid price. As I showed you earlier, you have a 25% reward probability of 11 going to higher up, right, to like 1350. It's about 20% versus just downside back down to 10, which is it's barely even done that. It's barely even touched 10. It's only went below 10 a few times. The low is 985 for frick's sake, So I'll just do 1050 to 1050. That's minus 4%. 4% downside versus 25% upside. That's a good ratio. That is a very good ratio. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about making inferences for trades as to what to expect after, let's say, news comes out or you see a price moving. So if we were actually just looking from here to here, okay, this is a good sign. You want it to go down, right? You don't want it to you don't want to buy it while it's at 14 or 1350, because there's not much room for growth, right? It's not held above like 1450 and stayed above 1450 pretty much, I'd say, forever, other than this point, but it stayed there for only a little bit. So there's that. Also, a few other things. You have to, like I said earlier, know or kind of infer as to what other people are going to be thinking and doing when they're looking and watching to buy this stock, right? Because right here, once it started dropping, this is what I call like the snowball effect. If it's at $14 and you bought it at $13.50, for instance, and you see it start dropping at an incredible pace as this day did, and it's now at 13, you're down about 4%. Even though you wanted to hold, everyone else, the psychology of everyone else is seeing it go lower, and you're seeing it go lower, and the best thing to do would be to get out of the trade, which is sell. And that's what causes the snowball effect. Even though you didn't want to sell, because everyone else is selling, you are either forced to hold and take probably a significant loss and hold for God knows how long, or you sell and kind of go with the flow, right? Because who would actually hold it from $14 and just watch it go down to 11, right? That's not happening. If they see people selling, the price is getting lower, their profits are minimizing, they want to sell too. So they're going to sell. So that's a snowball effect. It's all psychology, okay guys? It's all psychology. Same thing when it's going up. Once you see, so like this channel right here to right here. After it touched this point, like it surpassed its previous high right here, people are expecting it to drop, okay? They are expecting it to drop because last time it reached that point, it dropped, okay? It's kind of, you can kind of, I'm simplifying it a lot, but honestly, that's pretty much what it comes down to. If it's at a point where it didn't hold last time it was at that point, it's probably not going to hold this time unless there's a good news to kind of indicate it will hold, right? So it's not about making predictions, it's kind of just about inferring. There's a big difference about predicting what the market's going to do and inferring what the market's going to do, what AMD is going to do. There's a big difference. Inferring, you have to have multiple things kind of directing your mindset to think such a way. So right here, for instance, at 12 is a pretty good solid floor, even though it broke, but you know, right now it's going to become the ceiling. 12 is going to become the ceiling, and then if it breaks, that's good. But 12, for instance, right here, once it got to around 12, right here, that's that, as you could tell, even right there, people started buying. It would go to above 13, and then it would cycle back. This is called swing trading, guys. It would cycle back in its channel and go back to the ceiling, towards the ceiling, go back down, go towards the ceiling, go back down until something changes it, right? Until something happens, let's say this earnings report that changes the way AMD was going. But that's just a good indication to you that if the trading range is back up there and you see it going back down to 12, maybe you should kind of watch it, see if what you inferred would happen. You inferred right here, let's say you see it coming down, you saw it come down right here towards 12 and recoup back at 12. It wouldn't be such a bad idea to buy around 12 after you see it coming back. Never buy as it's going down, right? that's just silly to say I'm gonna buy as it's going down because I think it's gonna turn around and go back up. No. You should watch until you see the signs of it going back up. That is key. Wait the cycle. It's okay to wait a few days before you make a trade, okay? I know you guys are excited, I understand, but you are learning. This is money, guys. This is your money. You don't want to be losing your money. You want to be making your money, okay? Just a tip. Also, I just noticed something. That's a very rough drawing, but the floor right here became the ceiling right here. And you guys need to remember that. The floor and the ceiling, they can swap, all right? Because if it breaks the floor, that becomes the ceiling, okay? So you can use these price points and trend lines to kind of tell yourself where would a good spot be to buy, where would a good spot be to sell. And for instance, it's at $11, and it doesn't like to drop below 11, honestly. It does not want to hold below 11. It always comes right back above 11. So that's where I'm getting my inference as to why $11 is a pretty good price, honestly. And we'll see in the next few days, honestly. I might do an update to show you guys, even if in a few weeks, to show you guys if my prediction was right, my inference was right. Hint, it probably is going to be right. Just depends on how long you hold, right? That's pretty much all I really wanted to show you guys. If you have any more questions about charting, if you guys want to see different stocks, if you guys want to learn different patterns, analysis stuff, just let me know. American Arab is out.